Happy Friday, guys. I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and the Galaxy S2 is finally available in the United States. We've been waiting for this for months and months, and now you can get one and not have to worry about paying $600 or $700 by buying it unlocked. The Samsung Epic 4G Touch, or in the full name, Samsung Galaxy S2, Epic 4G Touch, is available now from Sprint for $199.99 with a new agreement. So it's a hot device, and they've added some improvements over the original. A bigger display, 4.52 inches now instead of 4.3, but it still has that nice dual-core 1.2 gigahertz Exynos processor, 8-megapixel camera, and Android 2.3 with Samsung's TouchWiz user interface version 4.0. Bigger battery as well, 1,800 milliamp hours. Now, is this a device for you? It goes up against the Photon and the Evo 3D. Three awesome devices on Sprint, all 4G capable. Is this the one? Should you get another one? We'll find out in the full review, but first, special thanks to my buddies at Best Buy because they hook us up with phones just like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you won't have to worry about rebates. You'll get this sucker for $199.99. That's it, flat, no paperwork, no waiting for the debit cards, anything like that. At Best Buy Mobile, there's no mail-in rebates. But enough of that, let's get into it. Is the Epic 4G Touch, or Ep-Touch as I like to call it, the phone for you, or should you go with something else? Let's find out. So everybody give a collective woohoo because the Samsung Galaxy S2 is finally available in the States. It's coming to 3 carriers, coming to AT&T, T-Mobile, and Sprint, but Sprint gets dibs on being the first carrier to say that it's available in the States. As of today, on the 16th, you can get it at the Sprint retail store for $199.99 or online at Sprint.com. And this is a good-looking device, and what's really cool about it is they took the formula of the original device, added some nice little goodies to it, and repackaged it in a new form factor, or slightly new form factor, with a new name as well. This is Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch, or Ep-Touch, as I've called it in most of the unboxing and review content that I've done so far. But it's a good-looking device. It's 9.6 millimeters thick, or thin, depending on how you want to say it, and it looks pretty similar to the original device, but the screen's a little bit larger. In addition to having a dual-core 1.2 gigahertz Exynos processor, it has a 4.52-inch Super AMOLED Plus display, so a little bit larger than the 4.3 that comes on the international version, but still absolutely gorgeous. The blacks are incredibly black, and you can tell, you know, just the colors really pop on this display. Excuse me. And then you have an 8-megapixel camera on the back, and now they've redone the camera design as well. If you remember on the international version, the camera kind of went from side to side. It goes up and down on this one. You'll see Galaxy S2 and Sprint on the back with a slightly larger battery as well, 1,800 milliamp hour battery. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when I go over battery tests, but you have your micro SD card slot as well. So similar design, similar look, but a little bit bigger battery and a bigger display as well. Let me get my fingerprints off the display there. And so you can see here, front-facing camera, and it's running Android 2.3.4, so gingerbread with the latest build of Samsung's TouchWiz user interface. This is a good-looking device, and you can see just in day-to-day, it's exceptionally fast, just as fast as you remember the original Galaxy S2 device being. No lag whatsoever. We'll go into quadrant standard scores again later in part 2. I feel like I'm saying a lot of, like, wait for part 2 in this video, but really, be sure to check that out. But it's a good device. It's super fast. Now, out of the box, in terms of applications, you get All Share, you get Books, Google Books, you get Keys or Kai's Air, that's Samsung's update protocol. You can see a couple of apps that I've already installed. You get Samsung's Media Hub, and then you get some Sprint stuff. You get NASCAR, Sprint Cup Mobile, if that's your thing. You get Sprint Hotspot, Sprint ID, Sprint Mobile Wallet, Sprint Music Plus, Radio, TV, and Movies, Sprint Zone, and then over here you get Visual Voicemail. Now, the cool thing about that is with Sprint's plans, it's all included, and if you get an everything data plan, so you get free access to Sprint TV. Now, there are some premium tiers. You know, you'll pay $9.99 more for some of the high-end TV channels on Sprint TV and Movies. But still, you get basic level stuff free. And then you get Telenav GPS as well, even though Google Maps is pre-installed on this device. But everything's just exceptionally zippy, and you can see the design's a little bit different from the international one because it has 4 capacitive buttons down here at the bottom instead of that button that you remember, that physical button from the international version. You have menu, home, back, and search. Then over here you have your power button in typical Samsung format over here on the right side. Then you have your volume rocker over there on the left side. You have your micro USB charging port on the bottom. And then up here you have your 3.5mm headphone jack. So good looking device, very thin, very similar actually to the Infuse in terms of feel in the hand, but much, much faster with that dual core processor and with TouchWiz 4.0. I mean, this thing is worlds different. If you use TouchWiz 3.0, I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't my favorite. 3.0 was a little bit slow and the file system wasn't as great. 4.0 total revision, one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Android skin to date. It looks a lot, or looks similar to iOS. You can see the dock down here at the bottom and the apps scroll over side to side. So people coming from the iPhone, or people that have used an iPod Touch in the past, they're going to find a lot to like about this just because it's pretty familiar in terms of ease of use. So you can see up here, notifications bar, a little bit of a change here. You see the color scheme's a little bit different. You have green, neon green, and you have gray as well. and then you can scroll through here and see again how quickly everything loads. Let's jump right in it and take a look at messaging so you can see the new form factor. Now, something that's different, you know, if you remember my video, my review of the Galaxy S2, the international version, there are some things that are omitted from this device. First of all, you're going to notice, I'll show you the input methods first. You can use Samsung Keypad or Swipe, come pre-installed out of the box. Gingerbread Keyboard is a third-party keyboard from the Android market that I've downloaded, but the one thing you're going to notice is you're unable to customize, we'll go into settings so you can see, you're unable to customize the font, or the text messages rather. If you remember, you had like 4 or 5 different options on the Galaxy S2. You could make the bubbles different colors. With this, all you can do is change the message font size, so something to keep in mind. But back to this, you can do, we'll do the Quick Brown Fox, Quick Brown Fox, and I'm not a fan of Samsung's keypad, but you can always download alternatives from the market. Quick Brown Fox is ready for the, I can't type today, ready for the weekend. Quick Brown Fox is ready for the weekend. You can see portrait to landscape, quick transitions, and because it has a big 4.52-inch display, it's one of the largest on the market at the moment. Because of that large display, somebody with large thumbs, somebody that has a hard time typing on a touchscreen device, or somebody that's coming maybe from a BlackBerry, something with a physical keyboard, they're going to find a lot to like in this one because the screen is larger, yet it's still pretty pocketable because of how thin it is, and it's still pretty easy to hold in the hand. But that's Samsung's keypad. Of course, you have Swipe as well, if Swipe's your thing, which I'm not very good at it, but I say that every time, and I'm still okay. Hey there, how are you doing? So there we go. So not too bad. Not as bad maybe as I tell myself that I am. But here's TouchWiz version 4.0, and if you're coming from the Droid Charge, or you're coming from something with TouchWiz 3.0, maybe the Infuse 4G on AT&T, it doesn't look that different, but it really is worlds different. First of all, you're going to notice cosmetically that there aren't any boxes around the apps anymore. You're going to notice that a little bit different, a little bit cleaner looking over here, so you don't see those colorful boxes behind the actual apps themselves. You'll see the dock is a little bit different down here at the bottom. There's nothing behind it. The wallpaper is the background for the dock down here at the bottom. And then, of course, how quickly everything scrolls over. Now, one thing I really think is cool, and I have this turned on, this motion turned on, so we can take, let's say, Maps. And when I hold it, because the gyration, you can see I can scroll it from back to forth between any of the 7 home screens. I can plant it right there. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. And again, you know, the widgets are another big thing in TouchWiz, and they've made it even better because they made a lot of the widgets customizable. If you watch my videos with any of Moto Blur or Motorola's user interface, excuse me, any videos about that, the Droid Bionic most recently, some of the phones like that, you'll know I love my widgets to be customizable because honestly, depending on how much you have on your page, it's pretty helpful to have them customizable. So you can see here, let's see if I can do the calendar, for example. I'm going to bring that one out. It doesn't look like I can, but I'll show you with the weather widget. It's fully customizable, and you can see this little thing pops up here. I can either make it like this, I can make it like that, and it shows me the preview, and then I just tap anywhere and it lets go. So I can make the weather widget like that if I want to. So it's nice for those home screens where you have a lot of apps on them, you have limited space, but you're like, I want to fill this one little area up. I want to fill something down there. If I had it the opposite direction, I could fill in something over here. And thanks to the customizable widgets, you can do that now. And on top of that, they've really improved the structure and the user interface when it comes to adding widgets. You can see, we'll go in here and say, we'll add a widget. And you can see this is much different, or this is a difference rather, from TouchWiz 3.0. You can see you can still scroll between the 7 home screens up here, but let's add a widget, for example, not a folder. That's the problem when I look in the viewfinder and try to do stuff on the phone. You can see here, and just again, you know, little cool features, like I'm going to bring this into the camera so you can see a little bit better, and you'll see how when I scroll, they kind of tilt back like an album type thing, or like a, you know, kind of shuffle art, if you will. You can see how they scroll back and forth from page to page. So it's funny, you know, virtually, just like the international version, no lag on this device whatsoever from anything I've thrown at it, you know, from just sending a text message all the way to having several applications open and doing some light gaming or doing something that's pretty graphically intensive. I've been really pleased with it, so you can see how quick and easy that is. So out of the box, you get some widgets, a couple of, actually quite a few TouchWiz widgets now. You get AccuWeather, you get Agenda, you get Samsung or AP Mobile, it's a customized widget. Battery life I installed. Bookmark Buddies now, a lot of different calendar options, month, agenda, or today. Get some clocks, classic, simple, unique, a bunch of different options. Digital, which is the one that's up here out of the box. And then you get email, and you can see power savings. You can see program monitor traffic, some tutorials, and you get the voice one, and then you get visual voicemail as well. So a lot of different options, and you can see again that's changed down here at the bottom where it pops up instead of bringing up that kind of ugly notification bar like old like TouchWiz 3.0 used to do and stock Android does, where it's kind of that big, what do you want to do in the middle, it pops up down here at the bottom, and it's a little bit more convenient and easy. So we can bring up wallpapers, take a look at the wallpaper gallery, for example, And you know, the camera, I say this all the time, but the camera is really not doing it justice. I mean, it's an absolutely gorgeous display. And I'm going to turn this off and back on so you can see. And try to hold it up at least to give you an idea of how beautiful this display is, and try not to get that light right in your eyes. But you can see it's just beautiful when I actually turn it back on. It's an absolutely beautiful display. And take a look, you know, I've done recently with the Motorola ones because they use pen tile technology. I've been kind of zooming them in so you can take a look. And I'm going to see if I can get this to focus up and get this to move. And you can see how clear that is. I mean, look how black that notification bar is up there at the top. So it's a great look. And I think you'll be really pleased with it if it's something that interests you. Now, you know, it goes up against the Photon and the Evo 3D on Sprint. So it's up against a bunch of hot smartphones. Say that 3 times fast. Maybe it's just me, but it's going up against a bunch of hot smartphones. going up against a bunch of hot smartphones. I promise I haven't been drinking today, but apparently it sounds like it from me slurring that sentence. But you can see, again, the widgets look good, everything's nice and fast. Let's do a quick browser test so you can see. I'm running on Sprint 3G right now, even though this device is 4G capable, and I can kick that on. And you know, I've been kind of frustrated with Sprint's 3G speeds. I'll talk a little bit about that in part 2, but I've been pretty frustrated with the speeds. They've been pretty abysmal through most of the testing. I'm not sure what's going on. I've reached out to Sprint and they have responded, so I'm going to let you know in a couple of weeks, or whenever I hear back from them, you know, we kind of diagnose what's going on. But right now, I'm in the middle of uptown Charlotte, and you can see, you know, 3G kind of fluctuates in and out, but the data speeds just have not been impressive. So let's take a look quickly at the internet. And we're going to go to phonedog.com. And we're going to see how long that takes to load up. But just to give you a size comparison, let me see if I can pull in the iPhone so you can take a look at that. So you can see a size difference. I'll bring that in and turn the screen on so you can see a little bit of a size difference there. And then here's the Droid Bionic over here on the other side of the desk, so you can see how they look in terms of size. So much thinner on the Galaxy S side. The Epic Touch 4G is much thinner than the Bionic. And 1800 milliamp hour battery over here. So just actually a larger battery in the Epic 4G Touch than there is in the Droid Bionic, yet the Bionic's pretty thick, mostly due to Verizon's LTE radio. But hey, this isn't a dogfight, this is a review. I'll save that dogfight for later on next week. But you can see again, transitions are pretty quick and easy. They're not quite as fluid as Motorola's user interface, because that little transition effect that you see in Motorola's is an actual Motorola thing. It's not Android 2.3, but you can see they're kind of blocky transitions, but still moving pretty quickly. And then of course you have a quick move to portrait and to landscape. Now, like all the other Samsung devices of the past, TouchWiz 4.0 doesn't really change this. I have a second window open, and I'm going to move this here so I can see. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and bring that back. So you can see Phone Dog, and it gives me a nice preview of where I left off. Now, I do want to try something really quickly. I want to see if it's hindered by that typical 4-window rule that Samsung devices have dealt with in the past. Okay, good. No, you can add new windows, so that is good. You can add more than 4 windows and keep going. You know, some of the other TouchWiz 3.0 devices, the Droid Charge, most recently the one that I've worked with, you get to 4 internet windows and it won't let you open anything else. So Phone Dog's loaded up now, and you can see just how quick and easy pinch to zoom is. Just an incredibly smooth performance, virtually lag-free. And again, I can turn it over to landscape. Now, where this really sells is a nice big 4.52-inch display. So if you're somebody that consumes a lot of media, you browse the internet a lot, you watch videos quite a bit, this is going to be a good device for you because of that nice large screen. I have to give Samsung kudos. They've done a good job. It's carefully masked. You know, 4.52 inches, that's a gigantic screen, and you would think that it'd be a kind of a bulky rock, if you will, in your pocket. Well, it is a heavy device, or not a heavy device, it's a long device, and you're going to feel it in the jeans pocket or the shorts pocket, but still, it's thin, it's light, and because of that plastic build, it's pretty easy to conceal. So, it's deceptively thin, and it's kind of deceiving because you pull the phone out and you're like, wait a second, this thing has a 4.52-inch display. But you can see how quick and easy the pinch to zoom is. So browser performance, fantastic on this device. And again, anything from browsing to sending text messages to doing some graphically intensive stuff, if you're a power user, this is probably going to be the device for you.